One of the greatest privilege and gift we have, human beings, is to live a life that is mindful with awareness and consciousness. No other animal has this privilege. And to break free from limitation and boundaries, and to set yourself free, and to experience a life that is filled with divine presence within you, that everyone can feel the emanation of the light coming through. So this question came from another sincere seeker. How do you participate in a world with so much pain and suffering, especially now on our planet? This question came very recently. There is tremendous collective karma purification happening on our planet right now. So, as you know, we are all interconnected by one thread. It's like a spider web. So everyone feels the repercussion of the collective karma, because there's so much purification right now taking place, so it's even more intensified. Even the animal feel it, the insect feel it, everyone feel it, all living beings. So I could see why that question comes, how to participate. Your question, beloved, also indicate to Devi Ma that you haven't been living your life fully. It sounds like you haven't been participated, and maybe you have been in that little cage for too long. It sounds like healing needs to happen in your heart. Fear, maybe, of vulnerability, of past hurt that you have experienced that has been accumulating, like repress some karmic structure. Because fundamentally, when you ask how to participate in a world with so much suffering and pain, it's saying that you haven't been participated, most likely, right? So, see, first you got to heal, to be out in the world. You got to allow yourself to liberate yourself a little bit from some karmic structure. You are facing a boundary right now. It's telling you within yourself something needs to be addressed fundamentally, because if you are staying in your cage and you just continue life like that, you will have never lived your life. The first thing to do is to allow the healing to happen, the healing journey, and to address that with mindful practices, with self-introspection and contemplation, intense sadhana. It's discussed that in other video as well, and in the Becoming the Light Mastery Program, a lot of the tools are there to allow this insight to come up, to allow the healing to come at the level of the Anahata, so you can get rid of that pain and that suffering. You see, in this world that is physical, we are afflicted by duality. It's how the world functions. So when you accept that, you realize even the light come out of darkness. How can you experience love if hatred is not there? So there's constant duality. However, there's a lot more extreme duality on our planet now because of this pandemic that has been going on for too long, and all the international event occurring, and the war in Ukraine. Maybe you are an empath, like so many other, and you feel the pain and the suffering of other being. And if that is the case, you can learn how to transcend that pain. I will tell you, can definitely do that. I was one of those decades ago. I remember through my spiritual awakening, when I found out about animal cruelty, I was beyond devastated. It put me in a state of depression. I could not believe how cruel unawakened humankind can be with other living beings. And I remember taking a program. I wanted to start work helping, doing seva, helping, volunteering to make a contribution, helping the animal, be the voice for the animal. And because it was a cause that was very dear to my heart. I love so much animal, I love all living beings. Please don't get me wrong, but, and then I took this program and all what I saw, the film and the video footage in the farm factory and laboratory, and it was tremendous. And I was for so many months mourning and grieving. So I can relate to you, dear, because when you are a gentle being and a loving being, and especially when the Hana'ata start opening up and you experience, you feel the suffering of other being, that's necessary to learn how to make a distance from your mind and to learn how to transcend and ride the wave. Because on the spiritual path, even though it's inward, you ride the wave of grace beautifully and gracefully. Don't allow it to draw on you. So there are many remedies that you can bring to your life. First of all, sadhana. If you don't do sadhana, spiritual practices, Kriya Yoga, which I have taught many times, absolutely necessary to help to accelerate the process of healing and purification. Mindful practices, the same, self-introspection, contemplation, profound meditation, and be with a sangha, with a spiritual community that you feel love, you feel connected, and especially give yourself completely involved, 100% involved, as if it is your last day on the planet. So you become the voice as a consumer. You do some seva, whatever is your cause. You go out, be involved with your family, 100%. Like I said, if it's your last day. Otherwise, you will take your last breath and you will have never lived your life and had a chance to tap into your full potential of who you are. You be stagnant and you will live a life most likely that is not going to be fulfilled and probably a very unhappy life. So we have come here on earth to experience, and so feel the gratitude and the blessing in your life. Is right now maybe your heart is heavy, and with healing, when you allow karmic structure to unfold, you will see you'll be able to come out of that burrow you put yourself in. Like rabbit, you know, little rabbit, they eventually come out. So you need to use discernment to know when it's time for you to be more involved in the world. It's actually needed. It's a time to be the light for everyone around in your entourage. You can volunteer for many different causes. Go rescue an animal. You can be involved in the environment. It could be anything that you choose, working with handicapped children, underprivileged children in India or Mexico. There's so much to do, is so needed. And out of this, you will blossom. Out of this, you will grow, and you will heal, and you will explode in a state of devotion. It's necessary. It's your choice. But when devotion is here, you allow a higher supreme intelligence to function through you, and you have the faith then that you're healing, and allowed it and pierce through that boundary with time when you feel like you're ready. So protection, it's necessary when you're not ready and you're not strong. You feel vulnerable. Feeling vulnerable is actually a wonderful thing at the proper time, and be sensitive, because they're not weaknesses. Without vulnerability and sensitivity, you cannot experience and transcend and go in the beyond and experience other dimension of reality, because vulnerability and sensitivity allowed you to open the gate, open the window, and so the divine can come through, the Divine Mother can come, and you can receive more healing and more purification. So the way to participate in a world like today is to become the light. You become the light with all the tools we have discussed, and to be disciplined and be gentle with yourself. Allow the time, the diligence, the perseverance, and the discipline, and be gentle. And you see, a little sprout, when it starts growing, if someone comes and walk on it, will crunch it, right? If there's too much wind or sunlight or water, it will destroy it. But when the mango trees start growing, it become resilient, it becomes strong. It can bend like a bamboo with dignity, without breaking. And so you will gain strength, and you expand your boundaries, you expand your consciousness, and you start feeling more connected with every other living being. Work also not just with human beings, but if you have a chance with a suffering animal, whatever, if it's just your voice, or, you know, we got a voice, a very powerful voice to use to emanate the light on our planet. And so use it. It's essential that you go out and you get yourself very involved at the proper time, when you know that you're ready, and just live a life that is beautiful, and you will see, you will learn to transcend the pain and the suffering. If I did it, you can do it. And so I remember way back, the story I was telling you, oh my God, it went over a year. I was mourning and grieving, and I was telling my ex-husband at the time, I said, I can't live in a world that men are so cruel. It was beyond my comprehension in those days how a human being can be so cruel to another being. And I transcended it. You can transcend it too. So even the Buddha, Gautama the Buddha, his whole teaching was based on becoming aware of suffering and pain and how to transcend it. So even enlightened beings, they can suffer, you know. It's part of duality, it's part of life. How else are you going to experience life? So when you learn how to make a distance with your mind, and you're more in a state of abandonment, you will find that there is a sense of an equanimity within you, especially when healing took place. So it's the beginning of a new life for you. You will find that it's very liberating to come out of a jail. When you realize that most suffering comes from your mind, from ego identification, we have talked several times, thinking you, the body, the mind, you are, your socioeconomic background, ethnic background, all of this, that most of the suffering is self-created. Please see that. Often also, I have seen many people that they hold a lot of false view. The mind has been so conditioned so they see things through their lenses of their accumulation and their conditioning. So they start seeing things with false view, and false view will lead for a lot of misery at the end, because you start having a lot of misunderstanding, misinterpretation, misperception, and that leads to wrong decision. The same, it could lead to the wrong decision not to participate into this world. We need you, beloved. So come out of your burrow, of your cage, and allow yourself to transcend the wave beautifully and gracefully. And just know that avidya, ignorance of not knowing who you are, that the divine within you have, the divine presence within you, with time you will start realizing that more and more. And you will realize with mindfulness and awareness and consciousness that a lot of the suffering is caused by your thought. So we're looking forward to see you out of your burrow and become the light in this world. It's needed today. Be in the presence of higher vibrating being to raise your frequency and expand your boundary. So there are more than you might think. Allow them to come into your life and be in the proximity. So that means to be in satsang, and maybe even be in their presence, in someone's presence that highly vibrate. Very soon we're going to start doing satsang, so you're invited to join online, and even here in California for satsang. If you are living here in the Beni City, otherwise you can be in touch. So more and more you will start vibrating, because vibrating beings emanate the light.